Ms. Johnson, a dedicated and seasoned educator, always looked for novel ways to engage her students. One day she asked her class a peculiar question. If you were not a human, what would you wish to be? And instructed them to write their answers as essays. Intrigued by what the children might imagine, she eagerly awaited their responses. That evening, after sending her students off with warm smiles, Ms. Johnson retreated home. She had always been passionate about teaching, and often found unique ways to spark creativity in her students. She settled into her study, preparing to read through the essays. Little did she know, one of the responses would move her profoundly. Curled up on her comfy armchair with a cup of herbal tea, she started reading the essays. Some were whimsical, some thoughtful. But one essay grabbed her attention and made her heart ache. As she read through it, tears welled up in her eyes, and by the time she finished, she was openly crying. Her husband, Joe, who was passing by, noticed her tears and rushed to her side, concerned. "What happened, darling? What's made you so upset?" Through her sobs, Ms. Johnson tried to compose herself and handed him the essay without saying a word. Joe took the paper, adjusted his glasses, and started reading. The essay read, "I wish I was a phone. I'd have a special place in the house, and everyone would gather around me, taking care of me and listening to me without interruption. I'd sit with my father after his work, even if he was exhausted. I'd hold my mother's hand even when she was angry. So, I just want to live like any phone." Joe finished reading it and sighed deeply. "Poor child, what inattentive parents they must have," he said, shaking his head in dismay. Ms. Johnson stood up, emotions swirling within her. "Joe, it's not just any child's essay. It was written by our son." She whispered the last words as if saying them out loud would break her. Joe froze, the realization hitting him hard. The couple sat in silence, absorbing the sobering truth penned by their child. They knew it was a wake-up call, a reminder to reevaluate their priorities, and above all listen to the small, often silent voices that mattered the most.